Hello, my name is Cal Leach. I am an English 101 student here at UNCG. I am currently a freshman and I am a biology medical major with minors in chemistry and Spanish. I am here today to talk about my English 101 experience. How did I become a better reader? I see this as a verbal portfolio of sorts. So, the title of my portfolio is The Evolution of Cal from January to May. Today is May 1st, and we started the course in the beginning of January. So, we've reached the end of the semester, and I've been looking over my experience through the course through how I constructed my portfolio. When I originally came into this classroom, and I say that metaphorically because I took this class online, when I entered the classroom, I was like, oh, this is just rhetoric. I just need to fulfill my general reason and discourse marker. It's really not that important. And it wasn't the case. I viewed rhetoric as a joke, and it's actually really disrespectful, I've learned, to the people who devote their lives to rhetoric. But I looked at rhetoric as a joke. It wasn't something that I was actually going to need. It was just something that those English teachers used. I had never really used it before besides maybe a propaganda unit in middle school, so I had to gain appreciation for it. At the beginning of this semester, I was very, very uncomfortable with using first person. I only used first person when I spoke. I did not use first person when I was writing papers because I was taught not to. That was a no-no. If you used the word I or we in a paper in my middle school, you got an automatic 0. So first person wasn't something that I was used to using. So I get the first culminating assignment part, and it says, "Oh, compose an essay about one of the ways by which you communicate." So in this case, I can't skate around, first person pronouns like I and we. I have to say, well, I use this in this way, and I support it with this evidence. I can't skate around it. It's geared towards me. So that's one thing throughout English 101 that I had to get comfortable with. Also, after I learned the 5 rhetorical canons, I learned how important invention was. And not to say that the other candidates aren't, but you start with the invention. In lab, I read the questions and I answer them. I don't consider that brainstorming. But what I didn't understand at the beginning of the semester is that I am brainstorming. It's just not tangible. It literally is brainstorming. It's not something that I put to paper because I already have the information. But of course, since I was not familiar with rhetoric, when I wrote my papers, I did write it down. I did bubble maps. I did bulleted lists, that didn't make any sense. I did jagged sentences that didn't make any sense for 5 minutes to see what I could come up with. So brainstorming is extremely important to any kind of drafting, so I've learned. The final thing that I would like to talk about is my changed view of peer review. When I was in middle school, I got I can't say charged, I got accused of plagiarism because of peer review. I sent the person my paper, they sent me theirs. And then we had like a little meeting, we discussed it, but what I didn't know is that they actually turned my paper in as theirs. And because they turned it in first, because that particular day I was out of class, they turned it in first, it looked like I stole their paper when it was actually the other way around. So of course the whole thing got solved and I didn't get in any trouble, but that just left a negative or sour taste in my mouth, I should say. But I've of course had to use peer review throughout English 101, and I'm really glad that I did. I've also learned peer review isn't just something that you do in the classroom. I realized that it's actually done in the real world as well. I would like to be a doctor, or more specifically, I like to be an otolaryngologist. That's a ear, nose, and throat specialist. And peer review is used all the time. This doctor, let's say a general, an ER doctor, oh, well, this is Cal, he's an ENT, I'm going to refer you to him because he specializes in ear, nose, and throat, and you have an ear, nose, or throat problem. Or I can say, oh, well, this is my ENT buddy, I'm gonna let him read this patient, read the bio of this patient and see if he's had a patient like this because I haven't had it. And I want them to get the best treatment that they can. So peer review is something that's used every day in the real world. And I'm glad that I was able to realize that. As I've said in my portfolio, I am extremely glad to have taken this course. Originally, I was going to take freshman seminar, and I'm really glad that I did now because, one, it would have been a waste of my time because as a biology major, I need English 101. And two, it's changed my view of the world. I ask myself odd questions, like why are things placed where they are? Why is the EUC placed in the middle of campus and not the edge of campus? Because they want the EUC to be more accessible to everyone. The EUC has the bookstore. They can't make any money if no one knows where the bookstore is. They put it in a central location so it's accessible. It's known. And that makes so much more sense to me now. I just, the EUC is in the middle of campus. The CAF is over here. But I think of things a bit more critically now. So I thank you for taking the time out to listen to me today. Once again, my name is Kyle Leach. I am a freshman, and this is my verbal portfolio.